Is USC on upset alert this weekend at home against Washington State? We're going to break it all down. USC comes into this game extremely confident, and for good reason. They have been rolling as of late. I think for the most part, they've outperformed expectations. Expectations coming into the year for USC were pretty high. You got Lincoln Riley at head coach, one of the best offensive minds in college football, have one of the future faces of college football, if not one of the current faces of college football, and Caleb Williams. He's playing at an elite level. And this defense, I think, is the major story. They've played a lot better than people expected, turning the ball over like it's their job. This USC team is a program that's in a bit of a transition, obviously, because of so many transfers and a new head coach, but you really wouldn't know it based on the record and the on-the-field product. Under Clay Helton, the word culture got thrown around all the time around this program. It was culture this, it was culture that. With Lincoln Riley there, you're starting to see some real changes. You're starting to see some real shift in that culture, and I think that's important to note with this game for USC. Now, Washington State, you're looking at this game, USC's a 13-point favorite, and you're saying, okay, why are we breaking this game down? Well, Washington State, in my humble opinion, is one of the better kept secrets on the West Coast. They have one loss on their resume, and that one loss was to a ranked Oregon team that they, quite frankly, had on the ropes and should have beaten. So I'm excited to break this game down. This is The Hard Count. I'm JD PicKell. We are fired up to have you tuned in right now. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel to stay up with every single thing that we're doing here. Also, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. We're going to do some Instagram Q&A here in the very near future. You don't want to miss that. I don't want you to miss that. It'll be a real good time. Roll, party, roll. The hinge points that I'm looking at in this game, you say, what's a hinge point? It means if it breaks either way, it's going to favor that team that it breaks towards, right? Right? It's on a hinge. Whoever it falls towards, advantage that program. The hinge points that I think decide this game, first and foremost, the turnovers have been a thing for Cam Ward, the quarterback for Washington State, transferred from Incarnate Word. He's one of the more low-key, but quite frankly, better transfers at the quarterback position. This was a huge get for Washington State. And he's thrown 7 interceptions to 13 touchdowns, so not great. But when he's on, he's on. I mean, 68% completion percentage. They're scoring pretty efficiently. Now, on the flip side of that, USC, they're averaging 3 takeaways a game. So, with that being said, for Washington State, you can expect to go toe-to-toe with USC no matter who you have playing quarterback and turn the ball over 3 times, the 2.5 that you're averaging right now at Washington State, and be able to win this game. Just not a reality. Now, if they keep from turning the ball over, they got a chance. Like I already mentioned, Cam Ward, when he's not turning the ball over, he's actually pretty efficient with the football. Also, Washington State as a whole is scoring 31 points a game. To score 31 a game and to average giving it away 2.5 times a game, that says something. It means you got it under the hood at Washington State. So, the turnover battle will be extremely crucial in this game, as it is with every game, but especially with how these teams are built and the capability that Washington State has on offense. That's going to be a really big deal in whoever ends up winning this football game. So keep an eye on that. The second thing we're looking at, does USC earn the right to have explosive plays in the pass game? Now, what does that mean? Everything USC wants to do offensively under Lincoln Riley is predicated on getting that run game going. Travis Dye is a dog. He's got a collar to show. I mean, he is a beast. They got to make sure they feed him and get him going. That's a big part of what they want to do offensively. Averaging 5.5 a carry right now is USC. That's good for top 15 in the country. They want to run the football. On the flip side, Washington State, one of the best teams in the country against the run. Only giving up around 3 yards a carry. They're number 2 in the country in tackles for a loss. So something's got to give here. Either USC is going to establish the run or Washington State's going to kind of be that stone cold Steve Austin kind of offense and stop them. If they take a while to establish the run, then there's a couple of things that could happen. The first of which being, okay, USC just says, forget about it. We got dogs on the outside too. Jordan Addison's got a Blitnikoff on his mantle at his apartment in Los Angeles. We're just going to toss it up to him. That's still possible, but that's a lot harder to do when the defense knows you're going to do that. When the defense knows, hey, they're not having success running the ball, so we can just kind of play the pass. That's a very big deal, and that's advantage Washington State if they're able to play the pass knowing the pass is coming. Now, still got to guard Jordan Addison, still got to guard Brennan Rice, Mario Williams, still a cast of characters to be dealt with if you're Washington State, but something to keep an eye on nonetheless. The second thing that could happen if you're Washington State and you're stopping the run is maybe the USC offense is a little bit slower. Maybe they're not scoring 20, 30 a game, 40 a game. Maybe you're not in a situation where you have to keep pace with them. That's advantage Washington State because they have a chance to then sort of catch their breath and let the game come to them. They don't have to press for points because if USC can't score points, they don't have to worry about keeping pace with them and getting into a track meet. That's a big deal. I think that's the kind of game that Washington State in a perfect world would like to play. But if USC can run the ball, they're going to have the play action game. They're going to have those safeties creeping up. And like we already talked about, wide receiver is not something that USC is lacking by any stretch of the imagination. Caleb Williams also can throw it a quarter mile over the mountains, Uncle Rico style. So if that happens, you got issues at Washington State, a very big hinge point for us. The third and probably most important thing that I'm looking at in this game, does Washington State have your attention if you're USC? Because remember, they go to Utah in what could be a season-defining game for the Trojans next week. Do we catch USC in a look-ahead spot? That's something I'm curious to see. We talked about it all offseason. For USC, the talent was never the question. It was how quickly do all these pieces come together? How quickly does the culture come together under Lincoln Riley? Seems like it's been coming together, but the question mark I have is for a team that is inexperienced in terms of playing together, do we catch some sort of letdown? Again, double-digit point dog is Washington State. If USC, it comes out and plays the way they're capable of playing, they will be able to cover that and then some. If it takes them a quarter and a half, 2 quarters to get going, Washington State, if they keep from turning the ball over, they're going to be a thorn in your side all night long. Now, the game is in Los Angeles, obviously at the Coliseum, so you would hope that there's some sort of a crowd there to boost USC forward. But I'm telling you, USC needs to give their undivided attention to Washington State. So at the end of the day, how we see this thing shaken out, the turnover bug is not something you can bank on week in and week out. But for USC, they've made it a trend. Same thing for Washington State, giving it away twice a game, a very difficult recipe to work with. So I think USC continues to take the ball away. I think Caleb Williams, with those extra possessions he gets from Washington State, cashes in a big way. I think Washington State gives a little bit of a surge in the first quarter, maybe a little bit of the second quarter, but at the end of the day, USC pulls away, wins this game 36-24, setting up a big-time matchup if Utah can take care of business against UCLA. So that's it for us here on The Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram at JD Pickell. Again, that Q&A is coming up on my Instagram. Make sure you're locked in for that. We're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.